Hey, hello, I'm Kråkan, also known as Corvus Cornix. Welcome to Classic Movie Rambles, where I talk about old movies that I found in my closet while cleaning. This week's movie is Back to the Future Part 2, and it's about 1 hour and 43 minutes long, and it starts with Marty and Jennifer meeting outside of a garage, and Doc Brown arrives, telling them they have to go to the future, so they jump in his time machine, the DeLorean, and they fly off into the distant future of 2015. And the way it's kind of funny because what they thought about 1915 or 2015, I should say, is a lot different from what we think of, looking back on it now. So Marty basically needs to change into some clothes so he will fit into the future. And they also put Jennifer back to sleep because she is rambling on. So they need to put on clothes to fit in, and Marty needs to go to a cafe called the 80s Cafe and meet up with a guy called Griff, and he's supposed to say no to whatever this guy says because plot reasons and time paradoxes. Dealing with time travel is always complicated. So we go into this 80s Cafe, and he confronts or sees his own son, which is like a wimp, and he confronts Griff, and that leads into a chase basically on hoverboards because, of course, it's the future. So he managed to get the bad guys to crash into a building, and he gets out of there. And Marty gets like a sports almanac, which is like all the results from all kinds of sports back into the past, so he can bet on them and always win. And the doctor tells him that this is a bad idea and they're not supposed to do stuff like that because of, yet again, time paradoxes and stuff. So they also need to find Jennifer because apparently she has been taken by the cops. So Jennifer runs into her old future self and she passes out where they're at her new home. So meanwhile this is happening, Doc and Brown are out looking for Jennifer, and Biff steals the time machine and goes back to the past to change things. So, making things better for himself. And then Marty and Doc and Jennifer goes back to 1985, but since Biff changed things, it's like a more darker version of 1985. So they have to confront Biff about what's happened, what he done. So they figure out that there's this sports almanac, and he gave it to himself, or his younger self, I should have said. And he always bet on the winning teams and whatnot. So he has a lot of money. It's like this corrupt version of everything, which is hilarious how things turn out when you mess with time, by the way. So Marty gets the information where exactly he got the book. So what happens is that they go back to the past and try to confront Biff about it, take back the sports almanac and destroy it. That leads into them spying on young Biff and old Biff in a car, and Marty getting locked up in a garage and whatnot. And then he is forced to go to a dance where he tries to steal the sports almanac without running into himself or any other that will cause a time paradox. This movie is great, by the way. So this whole sequence leads to Marty following Biff behind his car on a hoverboard, trying to get the sports almanac back without him noticing. And one thing leads to another. Marty is saved by the Doc, and he managed to get the almanac, and the young Biff crashes into a manure truck and gets covered by, shit. And then Marty burns the book, and things return to normal, but Doc's time machine gets struck by lightning, and he travels back in time to the Old West. And right when this is happening, and this is kind of brilliant, there's like a car coming up from nowhere with a guy says he has like a letter for Marty, and it's been in storage for like 7 years or something, and it's a written letter from the Doc, which is kind of brilliant how they wrote in that, I think. And it explains exactly where the Doc is. And then we cut to Marty running down to, talking to this other version of Doc, which has sent Marty back to 1985 or something like that. And it's a funny confrontation because he just sent Marty back, and then Marty runs up on the runway, and that shocks him and he passes out. And then it cuts to like the end credits where they show some snippets of the third part where they're in the West. But that's more or less the end of the movie. So what did I think about this movie? I had this movie as a kid on VHS, and just like any like old media, it was worn out. So I watched this movie so many times. It's like The Lord of the Rings somewhat before that was a thing. You always put on a bad movie. You just have something to watch when nothing good was on TV. Unlike today when you have too much to watch. You can turn on anything at any time. You just watch whatever you want. But back then you didn't have that option. So I probably watched this movie way too many times, and I even remember quotes from it. And I didn't quite understand the time mechanics and when I was a kid, but this movie is kind of funny. There's some scenes that are just like, if you've seen the other movies like 1, 2, and 3, like those movies, you can kind of make connections to them because they see themselves through the different time travel shenanigans. They see each other, their sons, their families, and yeah, so it's a good movie. I think I can recommend it. Yeah. So anyway, thanks for listening and or watching, and take care.